It's the next day, and I made it home, we'll say late last night, dark. So it's better to really do this today. It is a 77 Lotus Elite 504, which basically it's an automatic with power steering and air conditioning. So that's its difference. Oh, did I need it? Well, asking a car collector, such as myself and many others, did we need another car? Well, that's always the loaded question and gets loaded answers. And no, today, I do not need it. Tomorrow, I do not need it. But in the future, could I need it for parts? Yes, I do believe in the future I could need it for parts, or with the parts I have, it could be restored. But as it sits right now, there's not enough of it to make a whole car. Let's just go with that. What's good about it right now? The body's in good shape. Let's go with that as the most positive thing about it. The body is in good shape. It has 8 wheels that came with it. There's the spare and 3 others. History of the car, through the grapevine, I was contacted about this availability. Sorry, it went a little fuzzy there. Car was available, looking for a good home, and they did not want to see it get junked. So they contacted me through the grapevine. My dear wife initially said no. Why do we need another one? Do we have room for another one? Well, that's always the biggest thing. Do we have room for it? So, after considering it, I did finally drive to New Jersey to get it. And I understand that the person I got it from, it was a family member's car, and it has sentimental value to them, and they did not want to see it get destroyed. They wanted to see it live on in some way. And okay, I understand that. But the condition of the car. So let me get in here and open the door. The date code actually shows it being made in April of 76, but titled in 77 here in the United States. So it has the fuzzy dash. I was really hoping it didn't, but it's got the fuzzy dash and the fuzzy seats. Most people who understand these cars know what that means. They used and it actually was initially it was fantastic. It looked really good, the covering, but as the sun faded it and time took its toll on it, the fuzziness started coming off, and we always called them the fuzzy dashes. Is it a mohair? Is it I think it was upscale for the time, but so the center is I have the center. There's some number of parts over there that I'm not sure about. The seats are unbolted and in poor shape. I have the door interiors. The back, we'll say it's rough. It's been sitting outside for more than a decade, more than 2. We'll see. It's got extra parts that go with it. But due to its condition at the moment, it would need, such a huge amount. So, but I do have 2 parts cars, and between one of those cars and this, it would make a whole car. So the chassis, I've tapped around the back tower brace between it, and it sounds solid. So that I'll give it, as that At the moment, certain things on the chassis look good, but I haven't been under it. The rear brakes are locked up solid. I'll need to get in there and pull the drums off in order to get it to roll free. I had to drag it with some skates. So, fuel tank. The bottom left corner is the aerial, and you'll see it's out. The back was locked, and the cable to the inside was broken. So fortunately, I do know a way if the inside cable is broke in order to trip it. So it's a lever mechanism behind here that multiplies what comes from the inside over to the lock. And if you can get it by just taking this out, which the bolts that hold, the bolts that hold this on, you can just drill them out, push them to the inside, pop that out, and it gives you an access hole to get a lever in and hit the other lever. Okay. So what I did is, let's see if I can just show this, is I made this up, and I found that if I dropped the aerial out, sorry, I could go down and trip it by watching from one hole and going down to the other. And I have gotten previous ones open by just going in there and looking down through the inside and trying to hit the lever. Or somebody looking from inside and through the window and seeing what it is. Excuse me. Typically, the glass in these sides are loose. I had to tape them up for the trip because they will blow off. The butyl releases if you run into a car that's never had them resealed. Go check them out, because the trim on the bottom may be the only thing holding the glass in, and it's the water. That's how water gets in. How many miles are on this thing? Let's see. Let's see if I can get it up here. 23,525 miles is what's on the car. Not a lot. Not a lot. There's some extra cam covers and cam towers. And yeah, let's see if we can get a good shot. There's the gear shifter. Let me open. Sorry, I'm going around the other side. Let me get up here. It's going to be easier to do it from the other side. Just kind of climb up here while holding a camera. Not always the easiest thing. Hope the wind isn't too much. Okay, the poor engine bay. See how rust has really gotten to some of the things in here. The other side is as bad, if not worse. I have the carbs, they're inside the car, and well, I'm not sure, but I'm starting to piece together that the engine was about ready to come out. Because if you see, all this mess was disconnected. Everything was removed from the body, and a lot of things were in preparation, I guess, to remove the engine. So was this going to be worked on? I don't know. I just don't know. I wonder if that alternator would work on the 7. It looks like the 7's alternator. Ooh, that could be a bonus. That could be a real bonus if that's the same alternator as the 7. This way they have a tag on it, and I can figure out what the 7's was. Yes, I did break away from the 7 for a day or two while I take a look at this. So from this side, you can see, yes, it's an air pump engine. The pump is there, and I think the injectors, the air injectors, are still attached down on the bottom side of the engine. That's the serial number. Windshield is toast, unfortunately. Yep. A lot of the trim is missing. I have trim, but there's so much going on with the car that at the moment this is not a candidate for restoration. The extensive things it would need to bring it back. But at the moment, parts are what it could be good for in the future. So the future of this car, parts. At the moment, parts. Restoration, I have spare engines that could be rebuilt and put it in. With the 2 other parts cars, one of those windshields or getting a windshield for it would work. A whole new interior being redone, that's would have to be done. A whole new interior. Of course, we're saying paint. Originally this car was red and was repainted white for the low mileage. I don't understand. Now, the family member who had this car, pardon me for the cough, had several Elites. And from the parts, and from what I can, kind of the clues that I see around, he had a lot of knowledge and experience working on the cars. He had several Elites. The last time this car was on the road was the early 80s. Let's say it's been off the road since. And I believe he was very versed in the transmission. We'll say the manual transmission, don't know about that. So let's work our way to what else comes with it in the back. So pieces of the interior. The 3 extra wheels, and let's see if we can, a 5-speed in pieces, and I mean pieces. Clutch. And if the gentleman was working on the transmissions and many other things, I'd say he was very, very well knowledgeable and on the cars. Bell housing. So we'll say it would have been good content to see us loading it into or onto the trailer. Would have been really good content. But it was a challenge. There were things to be taken care of. Getting it down the hill, I couldn't get the trailer up to it in the correct way to get the to load it effectively. So we had to maneuver it down the hilly driveway, and it was an incline up to it. So getting it down there, and then so get the street and get up on the trailer took a lot of effort. Thank you to the owner and his relatives that helped. Big thank you to them. And it would have been nice to film, great content, but you've got your hands full. And it's no time to carry around a camera to do it. And if you notice from some of my other videos, I try not to film while I'm doing work, because then the filming becomes the most important thing and not the work. And the work should be done most important, and film after that. Because if you focus on filming, the work can suffer and you can make mistakes. So I choose to film after I've done something more times than film during it. So probably an easy thing to answer would be, what parts was I immediately hoping to have on this car that I need and have a hard time finding? Well, right up in the center, in the trim piece that goes across the rollover hoop there's supposed to be a small light that focuses light on the center of the dash. And so at nighttime, when you turn on your dash lights, it lights that up so you can see what it is, because there's no light on that center of the dash. Nothing lights up at all. And it was a little spotlight to do that. And so far, out of 3 cars, I have not found one. I'm missing one, and my 2 parts cars are also missing theirs. Hard thing to come by. I was also hoping for a good set of sun visors. That's another thing that seems to be very difficult to come by. The plastic ends that they hinge on, you can see they're not held up in there very well. There's just a little plastic expansion piece up into the fiberglass, and that's a thin fiberglass roof anyway. But they're in poor shape. When I say they, because that's the frame of the second one, or another one in the future, but I have not seen a second covered one. But this is the frame for one. And the mounts here. So I was hoping for that. Those were 2 of the really items that I need for my car. I do not have sun visors right now because a car didn't come with them. They're broken off, and trying to find a good set with hardware because the plastic ends are broken, and I haven't seen any replacements yet. So that's trim pieces I was hoping for. This is reference for the alternator. So if this is the same alternator as what's on the 7, and how it's wired, and I can look at the wiring diagram of this car, let's consider that in the 2 large and the small spade connector in the back, there are 2 heavy browns and 1 brown yellow. Yes, it's a brown with yellow stripe. And the 2 heavy browns go to the starter. So instead of 1 large wire, they use 2 small ones. Just parallel feeds, we'll say. And then the other small wire that's off the back is brown, solid brown, haven't found a tracer on it, and it goes into the main wiring loom. So I will take it apart and compare it to the other one. But I figure it's good pulled off now. The wires went on the back of it. So, other good news. Let's talk about some good news. Digging down, getting the blower out and getting rid of a lot of the junk that was here. Let's see if I can do it. There are spark plugs in the hole. See if I can get it to stop shaking. They're very short plugs. They're not the long plugs I'm used to seeing. They are very short plugs, and they were covered over, and the wires were all covered over and buried. So the engine, it still has no carbs, and that intake has a lot of issues. I did attempt to turn the crank over. It slightly moves back and forth, and I will just call that slightly. So, and you can even see the air injection system is still on this as I'm cleaning things up. So that could be some better news for the motor. There's a little bit of oil in it. This thing only had 20, did I say 24,000? I'd have to go back and look. Miles on it, which is not a lot. So, been sorting through the wiring. This piece here, which I guess is the accumulator filter dryer for the AC system, it's a very different one from any I've seen on the other cars. And it does come off the compressor, goes down there, and there's a large piece on the bottom. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 connections out of it, which sounds unusual because I don't remember. Normally there's a connection in, connection out on the regular filter dryers. This is just an oddball. So unless it's also the expansion valve, could be that too, as a way they did it. But that's different, very different. So that's the news I have at the moment. The day is sun's starting to go down as it is later in the year, and we had shorter days. So this is at least better news than what I had before. A small follow-up. Spent a little time over 2 days to free up the rear brakes. This is the drum off the right rear. It was locked up solid. You might be able to see where the shoe impression was. Yeah. So I had to take the drum off, which when it's rusted together like that, it's very difficult. I did manage to get the left rear to turn, and getting it on the trailer was I took the winch and doubled it up, which helped to pull it up, and I had skates to get it up there. But getting it off meant freeing up the rear wheels because it needs to be able to roll backwards. The next stop will be the storage building for it. And I'll try to do a video in the storage building, show people what's actually in the rest of the collection.